So what I have here is an input system called Xnav. It's something that was developed by somebody in Microsoft Research and was promoted pretty heavily by John Sangiovanni. I ended up seeing it for the first time, let's say 7 or 8 years ago, presentation that he gave, and I was impressed enough with it that I went ahead and made an implementation of it for what was then Pocket PC, long before the iPhone. And so then here now is one that I made for the iPhone, just as a demonstration. The idea back then was that we would take a regular 12-key phone. So this is back before capacitive touchscreens were so popular, and these phone designs that are just a big flat screen. Back when people actually had keypads on their phones, and so you could tap to get numbers just like usual. But then we would also have capacitive touch under the keys, so you could glide your finger over the keys and type. So for example, like I can just swipe to get an A, a B, and a C. I'm not sure if you can tell what's happening there, but each of these are these chording motions that start in the center and go out towards one of the edges and then over. So like to get an A, you just swipe to the corner and back, but a B, you swipe to the corner and then to the center and down. And for a C, to the corner and all the way over to the other corner and down. It's like D, E, F, G, and they all just start and end in the center, and there's no need to lift your finger in between. You just, every time you get back to the center, something registers. You can edit. You can do backspace this way. You can do forward space that way. And so that was the idea. Now it works a little bit better on an actual physical keypad, where you get kind of haptic feedback in your fingers as you glide over the ridges of the keys. It could work, I suppose, on a touchscreen with maybe the vibration or something as haptic feedback. But the idea was, with enough haptic feedback, you could do this without looking. So you could always keep yourself oriented real easily by starting and stopping in the center if you had something to feel in the center there. And you could completely type without looking. And it's a pretty quick input system. Let's try typing some real stuff here, like I don't know, let's say A-S-H-L-E-Y is my name, capital F-E-N, oops. So that's the idea, is you just have these kind of motions that just don't stop, and you get used to certain words and things like that as being like a single motion almost. Like the is such a common thing. It's just like, I can't do it quite so fast while I'm looking through the camera. There's like a slight delay between what I see on my camera here and my fingers, and it's kind of freaking me out. But that's the basic idea. You can swipe like this to switch modes and get punctuation characters and things like that. And again, they just become natural things. Like exclamation point is just like that. You just feel it. You don't have to actually even think about it. You can get other punctuation this way. And interestingly enough, the arrangement just is alphabetical around the edges, but actually the space and backspace and the punctuation switches and things like that and caps have been placed in such a way that these are actually in an optimal position for the frequency of English characters. So actually this entire thing is just a web page. So I can go back to the original page talking about this project, and there's a nice graph here of the frequency of English characters. And so you can see, actually, maybe you can't read that, but space is the most common character by far. Actually backspace is a pretty common thing to type when you're actually doing editing. And then E, T, A, O, I are the next most common characters. And you can see that on the keypad, those are the ones in green, E, T, A, O, I, and space. And you can see that those are single simple strokes on the keypad to the corners or the sides to get all of those. And blue are strokes where you have to go over one key, and red are ones where you have to go over two keys, all the way from one corner to another. And so you can see from the graph that the thing is actually fairly well optimized for the frequency of English characters. One exception is R here. This red bar R is slightly hard to reach. And actually you do feel that when you start to use the system. And R seems a little bit inconvenient. But other than that, I guess that's one compromise, just to keep it in alphabetical order around the edges, making it real easy to pick up the system initially. And other than that, it's pretty well organized and optimized for English frequency. It's a really nice input system. Now, I wish somebody would make use of this thing. John Sangiovanni, the guy that I mentioned at the beginning, I believe he owns the patent, or at least the company that he works for owns the patent. I think when he left Microsoft, they bought out his patents. And but I wish somebody would buy that patent and make use of this thing. It's a pretty cool system.